Good morning, children. Good morning, my little friends. Today I am going to take you to a global journey. Sitting here only, I am going to take up a poem written by a poet from Chile. His name is Pablo Neruda, and he has written a beautiful poem, Keeping Quiet. It is in free verse, and to tell you what free verse is, when we take up poetry, it has rhymes. It has a rhyme scheme. But when it comes to free verse is something which does not have a regular rhythm or a regular rhyme scheme. So this poem written by Pablo Neruda, Keeping Quiet, is very simple, simple verse, simple language. Now why I took this poem up today, there's a very, very special reason. Because what we are going to learn in this poem, what we are going to read in this poem, we are actually going through that in the present times. This is a time of a pandemic. We are suffering. We means the world is suffering from COVID-19. It started from China, escalated to other parts of the world, including America, including India, and now Latin American countries are also in the spate of it. And there is no end to it. But if we come to the reason for that, why we are suffering so much, we know that we are the cause of it. We actually brought this upon us. We actually brought this upon earth. And this poem, which was written somewhere in the 1970s, because Pablo Neruda died in 1973. It was written somewhere in the 60s or the 70s, but is meaningful in the present day today. When this started, when COVID-19 started, I actually shared this poem with so many of my friends, telling them to just read and telling them to apply it in the present time, that how could a man sitting 50 years back could think of what the world is going to be in the spate of in year 2020. So this is, although a very simple poem, but it is emotionally very strong because it binds us to what man has been doing on earth, and we together, although we may be doing it in isolation, but the impact of it is very, very universal, it is very, very global. Now on one side, friends, I have written some things that are very, very positive. On the other side, since blue and green are colors of hope and progress and growth and all, so I have written all the positive things that the poet wants from the world, the people of the world, the global universe. That I have written on the left hand side with a blue and a green color. And what is going on in the world that is bringing about so much suffering upon the earth, that is written on the right hand side, right? So when he talks about, see the poet, in a very strange manner he says, count up till 12. He doesn't say count up till 12 minutes, 12 hours, 12 seconds, but he just uses the figure 12 because there are 12 hands in a clock, there are 12 months in a year, and it is up to you. He wants that for 12, count up till 12, whatever 12, and introspect, because that is the first thing that has been written, quiet introspection. Now intro is inner self, our inner being. Spection is when you think. So he wants you to look inside yourself and think where the world is heading towards. What we are doing as a single human being, the impact is falling upon other human beings also. So he wants us to introspect and to see what we are doing, where the world is heading towards. He says count up till 12 and remain quiet. Don't say anything. Don't use your arms. By arms he means there is a symbolic meaning. Arms we know has two meanings. One is, the parts of our body, and one is the weapons that we use. So he says don't use your arms. When we do not use our arms, Our physical body, we are not doing it. And when we are not doing anything, we are not doing many things that are negative. And in that, he says, when you will not be doing anything, you will not be using weapons. And when a fisherman who goes into the sea catching fish every day, when he will be stopping for those 12 minutes or seconds or whatever, he will not be catching the fish. He will not be bringing any harm to the fish. Likewise, if the world is not doing, see, you must have heard of Earth Hour. Earth Hour is when all the people are told to switch off their electric points, maybe lights, maybe computers, maybe fans. And that is, what is the result of that? Although I sitting here may be doing it, my brother sitting somewhere else may not be doing it. But I can be a component of that 25 to 30 to 40% of the people who are doing it, and thus bringing about a very, very positive change in the world, right? So when he says don't do anything for count 12 and don't do anything, he says that you will not say anything because language divides. It is on the basis of language. There are states, there are countries and all. And when you are not saying anything, when you are not speaking in any language, you are not alienating yourself from the person who is sitting or living in another country. So he says these are man-made barriers. You will be doing away with man-made barriers by not doing anything for some time. So he says that is up to you. That is up to you to count 12. That 12 might take a day. It might take 1 hour. It might take just 12 minutes. But for that time, do not do anything. He says, you will yourself feel when you sitting here is not doing anything and your brother sitting somewhere in America is also not doing anything. There is a strange kind of togetherness that has bound you. You are united in a togetherness of silence, togetherness of positivity. If you are not doing anything, so many people are not doing anything in some other part of the world. And what will accrue out of that? There will be a internal peace, there will be understanding and togetherness, and a mutual bond between people who you don't even know and are sitting in some other part of the world. So he's the poet. Once again, I take his name, Pablo Neruda, gives examples of fishing and of a person who's collecting salt. Fishing I've already told you. But when salt is collected, when a person collects salts and he does it for years together for a living, he fails to realize that that salt is bringing harm to his hands. But when he will count till 12 and he will introspect, he will look at his hands and he will see the harm that his hands have come to just because mindlessly he has been doing something which he should have not been doing and should have taken a break from, and should have realized that something that he is doing for a living is actually bringing harm to it. So these are two examples that he gives. Further on, the poet moves on and he says, let's put an end to green wars and wars with fire. Now he talks of two wars. Green wars is very, very obvious that we are putting an end to our forests. There is so much of deforestation. There is so much of mining going on. There is so much of industrialization going on. Okay, concrete has has wiped out our greens, and everywhere, if you go to metros, everywhere you will see all kinds of concrete. There's glass everywhere, there's cement everywhere, there's brick and mortar everywhere, and very little green. So who has brought upon this war upon the earth? We ourselves are responsible for it. Because why we have done it? Nature has enough for man's need. But no, we are becoming greedy enough. We want more and more, which is the result. The result is that There is alienation, there are mutual indifferences, there's unrest in the world. And when he talks about war with chemicals, war with weapons, he says that it is easy to fight with somebody, but the results of those weapons are very, very sad. We know that. We know what's going on with China. We know what India is going through and what China is going through, right? Let's not condemn China, let's not condemn our own country, but let's see why those people are fighting. What for are they fighting? They are fighting for a place which has no significance actually, right? But the result is going to be that one side is going to be victorious. But what is this victory? The poet asks you, what is this victory if there are not going to be any survivors? There should be people in the world to rejoice victories. But what kind of battles are we fighting when there is not going to be any victory in this world? If there is going to be victory, there are not going to be any survivors in the world to enjoy the fruits of that victory. And then he says, if you introspect, why am I fighting? Why is my country fighting? Why am I taking the lives of other human beings who I don't even know? Then you will realize that this is just a futile thing that we are doing. We came here, we came to this world to live as brothers and sisters and not to fight and kill one another. Once this realization will seep in, he says you will be wearing clean clothes. By clean clothes, he does not mean actually that our clothes should be new, but it is symbolic. He wants clean clothes to be a new approach. That is, we must look at the world with a new approach. That no, what we have been doing is wrong and that we should shun on all kinds of violence and differences between communities and races and countries and on the basis of language barriers and all. Then he moves on, the poet, in the next few lines. He moves on to say, you might question me, that the poet says, stop and don't do anything. You might question me that how can this be possible? How can progress come to the world if people do not do anything? So he says, I do not want any truck with death. Truck, he uses this word only, T-R-U-C-K. He says, I don't want any truck with death. That is, I don't want progress to come to an end. Death is to come to bring an end to something. He says, what I want to say is, give some time at least to your mind, to your inner self. Sit and introspect. Sit quietly and read your mind. Read your inner heart. Rather than just running a rat race and just moving on and on, without realizing the repercussions it is having on this earth. He says that work, progress, because that is what life is all about. Life is all about progress. Life is all about looking upwards, right? Generations and generations have seen growth, right? No need to stop that. But at least give yourself time. Give yourself time to think what the world is heading towards. Why am I running a rat race? Why am I day in and day out? Why am I just always bothered about studies? So much so that I do not even have time to eat food properly. Why don't I introspect? Why don't I think that what is this if what I am made for, I have been made for happiness, I have been made for togetherness. If I cannot have that in life, what is all this for? He says, see, I have a he says even if now you don't understand. Now he says these are all the negative factors, linguistic and nationalistic wars. Linguistic is language, based on language. And national wars between one nation and another nation. alienation between races, communities, and countries. All these have resulted in mutual differences. Why you? Why not me? Why not I? Right? Which has resulted in unrest in the world. We all know that, right? Then there is continuous suffering. What is this pandemic about? Continuous suffering in all parts of the world. And how it started, why it started, we just know the where of it. We still do not know the how of it. And how much of it we cannot even analyze. Sitting here at our home, we cannot even analyze the how much. Because we are so steeped in the bondages of hatred and violence and communalism. But what are our politicians doing? What are our statesmen doing? They are making policies. Policies to declare war with other countries, to bring harm to other countries. Life has become so mechanized. It is just a rat race that we are running from day to day, without giving everything a halt. And then he says, this has resulted in the isolation in the hearts of man. He says, even if now you don't understand anything, even if this much is not enough for you to understand, then he says, nature is a very big example. He says, then learn from nature. How he says learn from nature? He says, come winter, and everything, all the trees are barren. They are bereft of all the leaves, right? Seeds are dumped in the earth, layered by snow, layered by other things. He says, if you still don't understand anything, then learn from nature. It is a very big teacher. That when it is the fall season, when everything seems to be dead on earth, suddenly spring comes and everything is back to green. And the flowers and the trees and the grounds, they are all laden with grass and leaves and flowers and fruits. Did not the earth at one time seem absolutely dead? It did. But it was not dead. It was giving itself time to regrow, to rejuvenate, right? So he says, this is what I want. Just as earth gives itself time to regrow, to refresh itself and to rejuvenate itself. In the same manner, he says, I want you to learn from earth. It is a very, very big teacher. And he says, once again, I count to 12 and I leave you to your quiet